Welcome to the podcast about two guys who grew up in the 90s listening to grunge and pretty much overlooked everything else. Let us take you on a journey to find the music that we missed out on Stuck in My Generation. Hey, it's me, it's Hicks. We got Queen, we got the 80s, we got the 90s. I'm excited, or am I? It doesn't know. No one knows yet if I'm actually excited. No one has a clue. Hicks, are you excited about Queen in the 80s and the 90s? You don't have to answer honestly. Are you excited?
I am excited.
I'm more excited than Freddie Mercury at Live Aid right now. I look like this, like so excited.
Yeah.
Got my air conditioner on. I should probably turn that off. God bless warm weather.
Oh, yeah.
How's it going, Hicks?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Been trying to get through the Queen stuff, part 2.
Yeah, the word trying gives away just a tiny bit. Let me just go on by saying this. I'm still listening to the Beastie Boys.
Oh, yeah.
I am still jamming out to the Beastie Boys. I did not jam out to Queen as much as I probably should have this week. But, of course, there are some reasons for that. We'll get there. I say that a lot on this podcast. We'll get there. That's what she said. It literally does sound like, you know, me all throughout my 20s, just hearing like, we'll get there. Keep trying.
We'll get there.
Come on.
Yeah.
So Queen, we did last week's episode and it was fantastic and fun. Great. Brian May kicked our ass. Freddie Mercury kicked our ass.
Yeah.
We had a damn good time listening to Queen. Really enjoyed it. Was like top 5 all-time easy, one of the best bands of all time. And I was timid but still excited to go into this second round of Queen. And I must say from the get-go, the 80s just change everything for everyone.
Yeah, I think so too. I think not to give too much away, there's always good and there's bad. I thought it's not really Queen's fault. I don't want to blame Queen. But
I do. I'm blaming the shit out of them. I am blaming the hell out of them.
It's a really good band, one of the greatest bands of all time, playing some really bad music.
Yeah. To put it lightly, I mean, here's one of the things I'm kind of looking for in an upcoming episode. Somebody, please suggest to us a band.
Yep.
Not that started in the 80s. I guess it might get desperate enough to get to that point, but give us a band that started before the 80s, but somehow still rocked ass in the 80s. I would love to come across the band that doesn't ruin everything in the 80s.
Yeah.
Because, spoiler alert, Queen in the 80s is not Queen in the 70s. At all.
Correct.
At all. So, let's any more thoughts before we dive into this first album? Warning, if you came to hear about Queen, you'll probably get 20 to 30 minutes, and then we're going to go off the rails.
I don't think you're going to get 30 minutes.
We may not get 30. I think I can bitch for 30 minutes. I can bitch. I'm a good bitcher.
That's all right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Any thoughts before we go?
I don't. I think I have thoughts, but I'll save them for after the Queen review. Thoughts regarding music from the 80s. But let's.
Yeah. That's the best word for the situation. Is all right. The album, The Game. So I started to hear a little bit of that 80s influence in jazz, but not enough to deter me. So that bit of 80s influence in jazz didn't bother me. Jazz was probably my favorite album. So we left off the last episode with jazz. I liked jazz. I think that album was fantastic. And we merge into the album, The Game. Now, The Game is famous for Another One Bites the Dust, namely. And that's a good song. It's a different song, but it's a good song. You can tell it's different, but it's good. I used to play you remember Guitar Hero, right?
Sure.
there used to be a game called DJ Hero, and it had a turntable and those same buttons, and it was like, and it was fun as heck. And there was a remix of Another One Bites the Dust, and it was the most fun song to play on there, especially because I'd be mixing it up, wicka wicka wicka, and then I'd hear, and I was like, yeah. That song kicks ass. I mean, it just does, in my opinion.
I agree.
I'm going to give my thoughts on this whole album in 30 seconds or less and pass it over to you, Hicks. Dragon Attack I enjoyed. Play the Game I enjoyed. Another One Bites the Dust I enjoyed. Don't Try Suicide is a really strange song that I enjoyed.
Sure.
And Sail Away Sweet Sister I enjoyed. So this album was the bright spot of the 80s, in my opinion. I'll get to why, because there was 5 songs that I thought were solid. There was 5 songs I thought were really solid there.
Yeah.
And the whole album, I gave this one the most of my attention, and it wasn't bad. It wasn't anything they'd done before, but it wasn't bad. But I also felt the cliff coming, the 80s cliff. Where you jump on Vince Neil's back and you dive off the cliff, and then Def Leppard is behind you with the drummer just behind you going like this. I just felt it all crashing down on me. It's just a big 80s barrage falling all over me. Twisted Sister was in there, D. Snyder with his Maybe It's Maybelline. All of it was coming down behind me. I felt it. But it didn't deter me off this album. The album was still solid. Hicks, what do you think about the game?
Man, I was still rooting for Queen. I was I was still rooting for him, still in that vibe left over from the first half of the review. Really didn't dig this album a whole lot. The Sail Away Sister, what was the official name of that?
Sail Away, Sweet Sister.
Sweet Sister. I thought I was missing a word. I didn't take very good notes. I thought that was a decent jam.
Decent jam, yeah.
Man, I just wasn't digging it. And just like you, we were driving towards the cliff. We could see the cliff. God. Thelma and Louise. Here we go.
Thelma and Louise, yes.
Here we go.
You and I were Thelma and Louise. Now to clarify, I didn't love the album.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Compared to the rest of what we're going to talk about, I fucking love this album. Compared to the rest. This was a masterpiece compared to the rest, but it was the weakest of the first 8. Easily.
Yeah, you're right. Good point.
Easily.
Good point.
Easily.
Good.
So is that all you got to say about the game?
That's it, man. I wish I had more, but I don't.
Folks, you're not getting in-depth analysis tonight. It's just not possible. So I didn't think it could be possible, especially after the conviction we both had about how great Queen was and are. They just are. Listen, you nail 7 albums out of a discography.
Oh shit!
You belong in the Hall of Fame. You belong in your name being mentioned in the top 3 or 4 bands of all time.
Yep.
I still believe, pound for pound, the best rock band ever.
Oh, I agree. I don't know. I can't think of anybody. I can't think of anybody to put in front of them.
Not as far as just pure rock and roll goes.
Sure.
So rock and roll band.
Yeah.
But one of the easiest things about doing this episode was the Flash Gordon soundtrack. How fucking easy was that?
Yeah.
There's lyrics on 2 songs.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching that movie as a kid.
I don't, thank God.
Yeah. I just barely remember bits and pieces. There was one actress on there, and man, I thought she was hot. I can't remember I don't remember the character's name or that.
That has to be the highlight of the film then.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
The Flash Gordon theme made my playlist. The Flash theme is awesome. I mean, if you don't like Flash,
oh yeah, you have to.
You have to. You have to. That's a fun song.
Yeah.
That was more rock than anything on the game.
Sure.
That was like, holy shit, Queen threw a Queen song in on the Flash Gordon soundtrack. But other than that, it's a soundtrack through and through. It doesn't deserve our time. I'm not going to talk about the cool space instrumental when Flash got to Zods or whatever the fuck that guy's name is. I don't care.
I don't care either.
I don't care. That album was a soundtrack. It is what it is.
Do you think people cared about this album when it was released?
I hope not. I really hope they didn't care. I really hope no one got their ass hurt over this album, because It's a soundtrack. I'm not even going to put it as a blemish on Queen's record because it's a soundtrack to a movie that bombed.
Yeah.
So whatever, Queen, all good. The sounds in the soundtrack were cool. It was like the Beastie Boys made this soundtrack, not Queen. There was a lot of like space lasers and like a lot of weird stuff. And it was kind of fun. It was kind of cool for a minute. And that's it. So
I'm just trying to think of what I'm going to talk about for the next 15 minutes.
Hey, this could be a 22-minute episode. It could be that bad. I will lead us to water.
Thank you.
For about 7 minutes.
Thank you.
The next album was called Hot Space. I didn't have a single track off this piece of garbage in my playlist. This was an atrocity of music, and I never thought that Queen could do that. The album Hot Space was literally hot garbage.
Hot garbage. And
hot garbage.
I think a couple different ranker lists, this was the worst on the list, I believe, on both lists that I looked.
That's shocking because this is a masterpiece compared to some that are coming up. Fuck.
Oh, man. What happened?
The 80s happened.
Oh, my God.
I mean, dude. It's the game starts at 1980. You could hand them like, a Twix and say one side of this is the 70s and one is the 80s, and you're going to make an album about it. And that's the game. Like that's the tale of two sides. You got a little leftover 70s, and then that second half of Twix is the 80s, and you bite into that shit, and you're like, fuck, it tastes awful. That's what the game was. And then after that, you know what you're in store for, because it's not like they're going to go through the 80s and be like, guys, let's rock this shit. No, they're like, hit them keys and play them electric drums. And Brian May, you don't do shit. You sit over in the corner and don't do shit. And Brian May's like, I'm a happy, easy going guy. I'll sit over here and not do shit. Every once in a while, you just let me know, and I'll be like, ding. Because Brian May wasn't involved in any of this shit.
And they benched their star player.
They benched LeBron.
Yeah.
They benched curly-haired LeBron. Fucking benched his ass. And they suffered for it. They look like the 2021 Cleveland Cavaliers with the rest of this shit. Fucking awful. Yeah. So, Hot Space, hot garbage. There ain't a goddamn thing worth talking about on that album. And then we get to The Works, which is surprisingly my breakout album. If you want to talk about Hot Space some more, because The Works, I think I had one song I liked. I think one of them hit me. Let me double check here. The Works. 2 songs. It's a Hard Life and Tear It Up were adequate considering the garbage I just listened to before it.
Even the album names are bad.
Fucking terrible. The Works. Hot Space. Seriously?
Oh shit.
And they don't get any better.
No.
Those are award-winning titles compared to what comes next. Did you like anything on The Works?
No.
How does a band go south this hard?
Like, man, I don't know. In the first half of the review, the first half of the discography, man, it was just song after song, continuous listening. It's just, oh my gosh, I have to text Barker. I have to, if he's feeling what I'm feeling. And then it just like a switch that just flipped.
We're high-fiving from 30 miles away. I'm like, Hicks, fucking hit this shit right here. Yeah. It's Queen. I can't even get my hand in the camera. This is my Hot Space moment right here.
It's Hot Space
moment. But it's like, man, we didn't even talk about this shit this week. Instead, I'm like, hey, check out this new Riff Raff and Yellow Wolf album that dropped today. And you're like, check out the Trunk Music 3 album. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to. And I listen to that and I'm like, God, this is great. And then I go back to Queen. I'm like, I want to slice my freaking chest open, rip my heart out, throw it onto the Hot Space album and hit it with a hammer that has Queen etched in the side. It was that bad. It was just that bad. Those 2 songs off The Works, my face probably lit up like Christmas when I heard these songs. So I was like, fuck, there's something I like. This is decent. This is like Limp Bizkit Nookie decent at this point. Blown away.
Yeah.
Blown away. Then you get to an album called A Kind of Magic that looks like the cover was ripped straight out of Aladdin. I was like, what the fuck is going on? What happened to this band?
Was it
Like, this shit's Aladdin looking. It's a cartoon cover. It was another soundtrack, I guess. I don't know to what, but I mean, it doubled as an album and a soundtrack. And I had one song called Princess of the Universe, which was actually a pretty cool fucking song at this point that I liked off this album. And the rest of it was more, more discardable than used Charmin. That's how it's just terrible.
Yeah, you think everybody's just on coke? I think everybody before 19. What year was this album?
I would have to be on some hardcore shit to enjoy this album.
I think they were all on. No, I don't mean to say that. Who the fuck knows? But oh my
it's
god,
got to be somewhat accurate.
I hope they were.
Dude, I hope they were too. I hope they don't remember this piece of shit.
Oh,
I hope they don't remember it. It's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just bad for Queen. It's just bad. I understand Freddie Mercury became a star, and I just kind of feel like the whole band was like, Freddie, we're tired of playing. Can you do the rest of our albums for us? And he's just like, sure.
Yeah. Now,
and Freddie Mercury's amazing. This doesn't take anything away from him, but I mean, it just the influence of the 80s. It's just bad.
I feel no different. It just
I'm glad. I'm so glad you're not like, this is masterpieces. What's wrong with you? I'm so glad we're on the same page.
Sure.
So this is junk. We're 16 minutes into this episode and we're almost done.
Yeah. Now, what year was Live Aid? Do you have any idea what year Live Aid was?
I can find out in a flash now that I've got internet back.
Would you find out, please?
Live Aid date and time. Please. God, July 13th, 1985.
1985.
God bless them for not playing any shit off this that I know of.
That's that's where I was going. They weren't playing more recent stuff. They were playing some classics, I do believe. It's been a while since I seen the Live Aid performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they were playing some pretty good shit. I mean, they were playing Bohemian Rhapsody and
yeah, I think I've seen the whole concert and I didn't hear a damn thing off of Some Kind of Magic.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the crowd going to do when they start doing that? Like, the whole place is just going to stand there and stare up like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, even this sucks for 1985. What's going on? It's just bad. And then you got the album The Miracle. I admit that I like the song I Want It All, and I admit that it's because of a commercial. I don't even know what commercial. It's probably that Emu and that one guy from Liberty Mutual or something. I don't even remember, but it's like, I want it all.
That's a good song.
It is a good song.
That's a good song. I was familiar with that song.
There you
so
go.
It wasn't a big shocker to me, I just kind of, I recognize that song. I'm going to keep going trying to get through this shit.
Yeah. Because this album was trash too. I mean, I Want It All was the only song that I was even able to tolerate for any amount of time. And I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. The next album, Made in Heaven, which was done post Freddie Mercury's life, was just one of the saddest, most pathetic things I've ever heard put on vinyl, because everything sounds better on vinyl. I mean, it was just awful. I was so disappointed. I wish to God we had more critique, more to say, more analysis, more this song was okay here in between 2 minutes and 10 seconds and 2 minutes and 13. That 3 second span there was solid and the rest sucked. I'm not doing that. I refuse to like 3 seconds of a 3.5 minute song that blows. I love you, Queen, but you sucked balls after 1980.
Oh, I love you, Queen, too. I love you so much. And so these albums, producing these albums, it's an investment. And I don't know who thought I'm going to pump all this money into this horse shit. And I'm expecting money back in return. I'm expecting a profit. I'd be like, the first album that we reviewed, like, I don't know if I want to put any more money into this, but they were kind of going with the flow of the times. I don't know what the sales were. I don't really give a shit what the sales were.
I don't either. I'm sure they sold just fine. I'm sure if we were living in the 80s, we might have found 2 songs off each album we liked. Maybe not. Maybe not.
I don't know, man. I'm so disappointed. I'm still disappointed.
I was disappointed for the first couple days of us diving into this, but then I was not disappointed at all because I got to listen to more Beastie Boys. I got to keep listening to friggin' and I you kept pumping me with the Jimmy James song, and I got back on that album. I was like, oh yeah, this is a jam, man. This whole thing's a jam. Yeah. And then I was like, go back to Queen. I'm like, get about a half song. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go back to the Beasties. And we discovered, agree with us or not, we're not saying Queen sucks. They don't. 7 albums of absolute greatness, the pinnacle of greatness.
Yes, sir. That
affords you 8 shitty albums afterwards. That's fine. That is fine. The 80s kill everything. The 80s kill everything. So I wasn't super shocked, but we determined that the standard from here on out, again, to anyone listening that's like Beasties over Queen, that's not what we're saying. We're saying as far as a awakening goes, we got awakened with the Beastie Boys in a way that is going to be everlasting. Queen, fantastic. Those 7 albums are really good. I'm glad I listened to them. I'll be excited when I hear songs that aren't singles from here on out that are off those first 7 albums. But in between hearing those randomly, I'm still going to be going intergalactic and doing the robot shit about the Beastie Boys. That is kind of the standard. That is a band I didn't give even a fraction of a chance that I end up liking just about every damn thing they did. And that is a testament to where I'm at musically compared to Queen, where I like half of everything they did. And the other half, I'd be super happy if I never heard again.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't want to hear that shit anymore.
Yeah, I don't either. I think that there are a few bands that we've listened to that have kind of set the reference mark as to we've caught that high, quote unquote high with a couple different bands.
Yeah.
And
Tom Petty was a huge high off those first 5 or 6 albums.
Sure. Beatles, Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Huge.
We're still chasing that. And, I thought we were on the right track initially with Queen. I was so excited. I'm still very thankful. I'm very happy that you and I did this because now we know.
That last episode, the excitement level was probably higher than any other episode. And that's saying something. So, Queen gave us what we needed at the exact right time. Brian May is an amazing guitarist that for some reason decided to go play baseball instead of basketball the second half of his career, like Michael Jordan. We see how that worked out. That's what Brian May did. Like he grabbed a freaking accordion from Weird Al and was just playing off to the side.
Yeah,
it sucked. But the Beasties are kind of the standard right now, as far as what we've discovered that we ended up loving. Queen, great job on those first 7. You really shit the bed on the last 8, but that's okay. The 80s suck. When we discovered this too, the 80s suck for everything but hip hop.
Yeah, I think so. Even with I'm a diehard Stones fan. Oh my God, look at the Stones in the 80s.
Not good.
Pure shit.
Look at the Beatles in the 80s. They didn't exist. Thank God.
They didn't exist. Yeah.
They didn't exist.
Yeah.
Anyone that quit before the 80s, good on you.
Yeah, they saw
good
it
on
coming.
you. Good choice.
They saw it coming. But yeah, I was trying to think. I thought, man, if there's somebody from the 80s that I would probably be happy to listen to, that was kind of, I don't even want to classify it as rock, but man, I always really enjoyed, and I'm sure there are artists that you enjoyed from the 80s.
I'm sure there are. Not in the rock genre, I don't believe.
Yeah. I wouldn't even call it rock, but I was always a big fan of
the B-52s.
The B-52s. Bobby Brown. No, the Annie Lennox.
See, I don't know any Annie Lennox.
Annie Lennox, the Eurythmics.
Yeah.
Man, I thought if I could meet somebody famous, she would be in my top 6, 7 that I'd like to meet. But yeah, I always really liked Annie Lennox and the Eurythmics, and that's kind of a pop, not so much rock. But
some of the pop from the 80s is fine. You know, Billy Idol I consider pop, and I always enjoyed what I heard of Billy Idol.
Yeah,
like there's some bright spots in the 80s. I'm sure someone's going to have to enlighten us, but the 80s suck. Eurythmics, Annie Lennox, I'm going to have to give that some time, or maybe we give it some time.
Sure, yeah, but I totally agree. As far as 80s, if I had to choose a path that was hip hop or rock from the 80s, I would choose the hip hop path
all day.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure there's some folks out there that this is the part where I start making people angry. I'm sure there's some folks out there that like to go lawnmower racing on the weekends that probably are going to tell us Motley Crue is the truth and that Def Leppard is the truth. And I'm going to park my lawnmower on that one. I don't like that shit. So if you can tell us a rock band that truly acts, I'm just being goofy. Motley Crue's not that bad. There is some songs there that are, what's shit. What's the song? Oh yeah. Kickstart My Heart. Kickstart My Heart's a badass song.
And I'll tell you what, another one is, the opening riff to Dr. Feelgood.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's some good shit in there. I just don't like it as a whole. So I'd be surprised if I listen to a glam band or a hair metal band or whatever they called them. I just don't think I could get into it, but I would love if somebody could suggest a true 80s band.
Sure.
Not from the 70s, not from the 60s, but truly from the 80s that rock that shit out. I would love to know who that is because I would love to give them a chance.
Sure.
But I have a feeling anyone that would comment or tell us, I would know instantly like, no.
Yeah.
No. I find it hard to believe someone could suggest a rock band from the 80s that I would be into. I don't count punk in that arena because there's a lot of punk from the 80s I like too. Punk, pop, hip hop. The 80s aren't completely devoid of good stuff. It's devoid of rock.
Yeah. So how would you classify The Cure from the 80s?
Makes me sleepy.
But what kind of genre would you classify that as?
Oh, man.
That's pretty alternative.
I would new wave.
Okay.
A little new wave-ish, maybe. I could be off base because my 80s knowledge is about the same as, my knowledge on most things. It's lacking.
Well, that's better than anything that I could come up with. So that was my
maybe new wave. Yeah. Okay. I don't know what else The Cure could be, but funny thing. You mentioned The Cure. In between not listening to Queen's 80s and 90s discography, I saw a show. It was like a show about people covering McCartney, and Robert Smith from The Cure was on that show and did a cover of a McCartney written song.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I feel like I might like The Cure on a rainy day, but I don't know if I could do that shit very often.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing we can do since the Queen conversation was over like that, because it's over for me. Made in Heaven, by the way, I'll go back to that album, the post Freddie Mercury album. That thing is every title track. I want to be respectful and say I feel where the band were coming from, but every song is like has the word heaven or angel or Jesus or something like that in it. And that's not a problem at all. It's fine. But the actual content of those songs and the sound of those songs was so not Queen. It was like Queen. The whole album was Queen at a funeral. Maybe that's what they were shooting for. But man, it was so bad. That album is, I hate to say this about a band that's legendary. That album is one of the worst albums I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. It's hard to be disrespectful just because.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to be honest.
And I didn't mean to say that you were being disrespectful. I was.
Oh, yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah, I was just, man, just like I said in the beginning, a really good band, one of the greatest bands of all time, playing some really shitty music.
Yeah. And like you said, they benched Brian May.
Yeah.
I didn't hear, I heard maybe one song per album where Brian May got let out of his cage a little bit. And that's a massive mistake. Like, to me, you've got 2-star players on that team, and it's Freddie and Brian.
Yeah.
And, you can't bench either one of them or you're going to lose the game.
Sure.
The game was actually okay. But after that, you're going to lose the game on every single album. They lost. They got blown out.
Yeah.
But yeah, if somebody can suggest something rock from the 80s that is just good, I am all ears completely. But as of right now, hip hop and some pop. I enjoyed Michael Jackson back in the day.
Sure.
That's kind of not a true 80s product, but him as a solo artist, I think, was an 80s product. So I mean, there's bright spots in the 80s. Queen wasn't one of them.
Yeah, that's a shame.
End of Queen conversation, I believe.
But now we know.
And that's part of this journey as well. And again,
exactly.
I got to listen to more Beastie Boys this week. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm hooked, man.
Oh,
I still can't stop. I cannot stop.
Oh yeah. It's I get in my vehicle and it automatically pops up, 90% of the time, just where I've had it on my phone and forgot about it. And as soon as I start the car up, it's, something Beastie Boys is playing.
Me too. I like I said, I put a flash drive with their full discography and Queens. I'm gonna have to erase half that shit. But I put the full discography of Beastie Boys on a flash drive. I get in, start my car, what you want right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just great. Real quick recommendation, just because we're to the Anything Goes part of this podcast tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The show Fresh Off the Boat with Randall Park. That show, have you seen that show?
Yes. It's been a while.
I love it. I have been cracking up. The main character in this show, and the one who has his voice narrated, is like their oldest son, and he loves hip hop.
Yeah.
Loves hip hop. And I stumbled across a video of him and his little brother in a car. I'm guessing this is one of the later seasons. And he's talking about wanting his parents to hear this music. And it's what you want from the Beastie Boys. But it cuts straight to like a fantasy scene of like his dad jumping into the camera and be like, rapping, and his mom's playing with the mustache like MCA off to the side, and she jumps in and starts rapping. It's one of the best things I've ever seen. But there's so many good references. I'm on like episode 4, and I think the last episode he was having woman problems. He's like, I know just what to do. And he puts his headphones on, and it cuts to what he's holding. And it's like Old Dirty Bastards Return to the 36 Chambers album. And it starts playing like, shit. The yippee, yippee, yow, yippee. I can't remember how it goes, but
I know what you mean.
He's sitting there just soaking in ODB, and I'm loving it because I'm so into the old school hip hop right now. So that show's got a special place in my heart currently. Before I switch it over to you for random thoughts of the evening, I don't know what's next, but I'm not opposed to more hip hop. I don't know if people want to hear more hip hop, because I know a lot of our listeners are Ohio folks, and people around here love that Luke Bryan. But the new album from Riff Raff and Yellow Wolf was fun today. Yeah. And Yellow Wolf is one of those ones. I don't know if it would be fair to throw him in quite yet, because I feel like I've heard the majority now.
Yeah.
But God dang, he's good.
Oh, he's good. Yeah, it's just unreal. He's one of my favorites right now.
He's real good. He's not just good. He's real good.
Well,
his flow is just great.
Eminem has his back, so that says a lot. I'm
confused though, because most of his albums were on Eminem's label, but the last 2 or 3 are independent releases, like Yellow Wolf released. Yeah, I'm not sure why he wouldn't be re-signed to Shady Aftermath or whatever.
Sure,
but I was kind of confused there.
Okay,
but that was some good stuff. What else have you been listening to besides besides Queen. I hate that I'm laughing about listening to Queen. I hate that. But it's just this week was shit.
Yeah, very disappointing. Man, I tell you, I've been going through Tool 10,000 Days. I've been listening to that shit a lot.
Have we ever mentioned Tool on this podcast before?
No, do you like Tool?
I think I do.
Do you like Tool? I think I like Tool.
The last time I listened to them, they really kind of hit me with some of them riffs.
Yeah.
Pretty solid outing that Tool band is. That Maynard Johnson Cameron. Solid dude. Dude. You and I listened to we listened to me and Hicks used to work together at a horrible place that'll stay unnamed. And we made pretty good money. Back then it was probably great money. We probably thought we were, ballers.
We were balling.
We were balling. We went to the Fox Run a couple times. That's how much money we made. And we jammed the shit out of Lateralis and 10,000 Days. And you mentioned being stuck on 10,000 Days today.
Oh man.
And man, that reminds me. I know I'm all over the place, but kind of somber moment this evening. A guy I graduated with, also a Tool guy. I didn't know him very, very, very well, but I knew him well enough to know that he was a really nice fella to talk to.
Sure.
And Will Knaus, a fella that I graduated with, he passed away yesterday.
Oh, no shit.
So just want to kind of bring that up. Really, solid dude. I ran into him a few days ago. Maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and he's just always so pleasant to talk to and just greeting. And I'm a big fan of people that just know how to talk to other people.
Yeah.
He was just one of those guys where you see him somewhere and he's like, hey Barker, what's going on? How you been? How's things going? Just says the right things and just, you just feel the genuineness of that dude.
Yes.
So I just kind of want to shout him out this evening. I hate that he is gone. He was never nothing but nice to me. So part of getting old, man. There's probably 10 or 12 people from my graduating class.
Oh shit, we're not that old
here anymore.
Yeah.
Not yet, but man, we will be before we know it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Before you know it, we'll be like, man, that new Tool album from 2019 was rocking.
Yeah.
I do
that.
Time
now.
flies. Yeah, me too.
Hey,
me too.
So you just saw this dude like 4 or 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
really nice guy. Really, really nice guy.
Man, that's messed up. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. I said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like everyone else on Facebook that we were close and all this stuff. Like we weren't close. I liked him. He liked, I think he liked me. We were acquaintances.
Yeah.
I appreciated when I ran into him because he was always very, very, very pleasant, more pleasant as a full grown adult than back in the day. I didn't really talk too much back then, but he was always respectful to me. He's always a decent dude. Sure. But I know he liked some good music. And I know the few conversations I have had with him over the years was about good music. So, I thinking about his family because that would be very, very, very tough to go through. He was only 40, 41 at the most.
Oh, yeah.
That's just way too soon. But
sure, yeah.
He was a good dude. Good dude. Like Tool. That connected us a little bit. Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite things about music. I spend a lot of time around people that I don't have a lot in common with. But once we begin talking about music, then we start to get a little bit closer, have that in common.
Yeah.
That's so nice. I love that.
It is.
And you and I,
a lot of people.
You and I have talked about, I know one guy who doesn't like music. I'm like, you don't like music? Do you like Oxygen? How can you not like music?
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't think my brother, I've got a younger brother. He's 4 years younger than me. I don't think he's a big music guy. I could not imagine not going to the probably 100 concerts I've been to. I cannot imagine not having those memories.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just how many pleasures are there in life?
Yeah.
If you don't like music, what do you like?
Yeah.
Are you into some John Wayne Gacy shit? I mean, I don't know what you like if you don't like music.
I don't know.
To me, it's like the purest art form there is.
Yeah, and it's like vitamins to me. I need it.
I need it too.
I need it.
I mean, that's why this just doing this once a week just excites the hell out of me. Even if we run through a bad week of Queen, of some, the 80s taking some band and just ripping them to shreds, which happens to everybody. It's still enjoyable because I still get to come on here, talk about it. If it was terrible, I can make kind of a mockery out of it and have just a fun time being a stupid ass.
Sure.
And I mean, if somebody came to me and said the only music you get from here on out is 80s and 90s Queen, I would have to learn how to love that shit because I can't live without music. So there's that.
Yeah, I understand. So what are we going to do next?
I don't know. This is, again, you and I talked earlier about the Velvet Underground. We decided just to skip ahead. We decided to do the up, up, down, down, left, right, A, start. We put in the cheat code and listen to some Velvet Underground, and that shit is lame. I fell asleep. I understand now why I didn't like the Metallica and Lou Reed collaboration on that Lulu album. I heard that.
Know
I was
about
like,
that.
oh, it's fucking garbage.
Is it
garbage?
Now, hold on just a second.
Okay.
Step back just a little bit. A few steps back. Lou Reed and Metallica, both had a song together. Both performed together or recorded a song. An album, not just one song, but an album.
Correct.
Man, how did that get by me?
Easily, because it didn't sound like Metallica. I'm pretty certain I'll have to revisit, but it was Lou Reed vocals with Metallica as his band, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
And for some reason, I think Metallica are pretty big fans of Lou Reed and the Velvet Underground. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But apparently they collaborated, did an album. It's called Lulu. You and I are both Metallica fans, to my wife's disdain. She hates Metallica. I love Metallica. And I listened to that album, and it was kind of like listening to 80s Queen. It was bad. But I know now that I just don't like Lou Reed, and I don't like that style, and I don't like that band. So we're not doing the Velvet Underground.
No, I can't do it.
That sucks. There's just nothing there. I don't know what's next. I wish the comments would come in and help us out. Okay. I didn't have the comments pulled up. We have one comment. Thank you, Tara, for she said I'm cracking her up. That's all I can do when it comes to shitty music from the 80s is act a fool. But I really don't know. I kind of want to go in the hip hop direction.
That's okay.
I'm kind of okay going in the pop direction. I just don't know. There's tons of stuff. We've got a list, so we're not hitting a wall by any means, but
oh no,
we probably want to hear something that we hope that we would enjoy.
Yes.
After doing this second week, I'll throw this out there. Second weeks on this podcast, not good. Not good for anyone. I mean, maybe good if you want to laugh, but not good for us as listeners, and not good for you if you've been following along with us, because the second half of Queen was just bad. So whatever band we do next, it's got to be a short discography, no more 2 weeks, because we know that second week is going to suck.
Oh yeah.
You know what's funny about this though? At work, always listen to music at work. That's the best thing about work, is doing some Excel spreadsheets and shit and working. I hate Excel, but I love music. So it gets me through the day. Exactly. But every time someone comes into my office, they're like, oh, is this, if someone came in today and it was Riff Raff and Yellow Wolf, and they were like, oh, is this week? And I was like, I fucking wish. Fucking wish it was. But it's not. You want to know what this week is? Let me hit play. That's
Flash.
What this week is. He's the king of the universe.
Yeah.
Naming the best songs, because I don't know the words or the melodies from the worst ones.
I don't either.
So I don't know what's next. Hopefully you guys can help us. American Liberty, my dude from one of my YouTube channels, says Prince ? Madonna ? Prince? How many albums did Prince have?
I don't know.
He may have just nailed it. He said 80s Michael Jackson. I hope you tuned in from the get-go, because I was talking about Michael Jackson earlier.
I'm doing
Prince is a solid
oh my gosh,
suggestion.
that's a good. Let me see how many albums we have. Oh shit. Guess how many studio albums? Yeah,
44.
39.
Fuck that. What?
Oh, man. 39 studio albums,
No.
152 music videos.
How did he have 39 albums?
Oh my god.
When did he start? 1942?
Hold on. Let me see. Oh my gosh, there's just so much. 1978.
He said U2. American Liberty, you can go to hell for that. I will never listen to U2's music except for when it's forced on me.
I'll tell you what.
If I've got information you need for national security, you sit me down, you strap me up, and you play U2, I'll fucking sing like a mockingbird, god damn it. I will never listen to that trash. Anyways, what were you saying, Hicks?
Oh, that's all right. I totally agree, man. I'm so disappointed that Prince had so many albums because I thought
too.
I thought that's it. That's a good one. So, man,
I want to do Prince, but I can't do 39 albums. How are we supposed to do some of these great artists if they have that many albums?
I don't know, but the late and great, most powerful Prince also had 13 internet albums. Do you know what an internet album is?
I didn't know Prince was alive when the internet was out.
Internet album.
He hasn't been dead that long, has he?
No, I don't think so.
No, he hasn't. He's only been gone since.
I'll tell you what, the only way that I could do, oh my gosh, 39 albums. I mean, if an artist had 20 albums, I'll tell you what, I'd have to skip a week. We'd have to do a 2-week run of
this dude released an album every single year.
Who, Prince?
Yes.
Oh, he was on it.
Every single year.
Here's a
he was doing weird naked shit before Lil Nas X was even born.
Yeah.
Have you seen that video for Lil Nas X, by the way?
No.
Oh shit. Go watch that. Go watch that Montero video by Corey Hall. My boy Corey says Rush. I'm half tempted on that one, but okay. I don't know about yet. I don't know if it has to be this week, but Rush is kind of my jam as a Tool fan.
19 albums.
From Rush?
Yes.
Fucking shit.
19 studio albums.
American Liberty says Twisted Sister and Cute Riot. I assume he means Quiet Riot. God, I can't do either one of those bands. I know that for a fact. American Liberty, you've got to be pushing 50 to like that shit.
Yeah.
I don't like that shit.
That's okay.
And that is okay. Yeah, I can mess with that dude because he's a good dude. But yeah, no on Twisted Sister, no on Quiet Riot. Rush is a good suggestion, but I don't know if I'm ready yet. Someone else said the Bengals. I don't like the Bengals either. They haven't been good for a long time. Don't know if he meant the Bengals. He must be drinking the same shit. Hey, American Liberty, you got some of this in there with you? Some of this Fireball, because that's the Bengals. Maybe are the Bengals any good?
The Bengals
with an A, because that's a band.
Yeah, I know they're smoking hot.
I've got it.
Okay.
Not specifically, but one of the females or female driven groups we were talking about last week. Hart, Joan Jett, Joplin. Don't know if I can handle Joplin.
Yeah, I don't know if I can either.
We may dig into the females a little bit, see if one of those works out for us.
Sure.
Corey Hall says I used to jam Rush all the time. Good on you. Rush is a good band.
Sure, yeah.
I do have to be in the mood for Geddy Lee though, because he does have that, high motor rev voice. Yeah, but the band is themselves
unreal.
Good
they're
shit.
Unreal.
Oh yeah, good
Very
stuff.
Good. Very good.
Anyone else got suggestions? Throw them out there. Who else you thinking, Hicks?
Man, I don't know. Who did you mention? You mentioned Hart. You mentioned
Joan Jett and the Black Hearts. Hart.
How many albums? Fleetwood Mac.
I do love me some Fleetwood Mac.
I just know the hits. I need to know more about Fleetwood Mac, but I don't.
I know the hits and I know the full album of Rumors because that's, in my opinion, one of the better albums of all time. I think that's a great one. But the fun part about Fleetwood Mac is they did a lot of shit before Stevie Nicks.
Okay.
I don't know if that's fun because they were a jazz-based band.
Okay.
But there is some shit we haven't heard for sure. Fleetwood Mac discography. Here we go. We could do ICP too.
I can't name one ICP song.
Oh, I can.
I can.
Studio albums from Fleetwood Mac. 18.
Wow. It's a
A
lot.
lot of those are jazz, so a lot of those might be quick listening. Because
Yeah.
I've never really sat down and thought, man, this jazz is kicking my ass. It's never happened.
This jazz
Except for the Queen album, Jazz.
This jazz is making me forget about this Excel spreadsheet that I'm working on.
Yeah. Fresh Prince was suggested. I don't know. I don't know about Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
Just trying to remember back to what people listened to back in the 80s. I am too, because I don't know what they listened to. I know what my father listened to at the time, because he shoved all that pour some sugar down my throat, and I liked it back then. Warrant was a pretty fun 80s band. Have you ever listened to much Warrant?
I know of Cherry Pie and Uncle Tom's Cabin. I don't know anything beyond that.
What was that album called? Filthy Dirty Stink. Hold on. Actually pretty good. I'm not trying to push us in the direction of Warrant, but if there was an 80s band I enjoyed quite a bit, it was Warrant, even though one of their newest albums is called Louder, Harder, Faster. Dirty, Rotten, Filthy, Stinking, Rich. Actually, that was their debut in 89. You could barely even call them an 80s band.
Here's one for you. What about Huey Lewis? I'm just joking.
We've talked about that. I do love me some Huey Lewis, but I think that would wear on me pretty damn quick.
I think so too.
Let's see how many albums Huey Lewis in the News has, discography wise. My wife would go nuts. She'd be like, "Really? You're doing Huey Lewis?
Gotta get back in time." Yeah.
Good shit. The new discography. If it's like 3, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it live. 10 albums. 10 albums.
I would, while you have Mr. Googly up, would you mind looking up how many David Bowie albums there are? I'm assuming there's going to be a lot, but just out of curiosity.
And that's one I almost don't care how many albums he has. I want to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
Oh shit. 27.
27.
Why? Why can't bands just go Nirvana and put out 3 albums and call it a day?
Perfect.
Corey Hall said The Police. Guess what, Corey Hall? Been there, done that shit. Felt like Rastafari all over again. Not doing it again. It was okay. Wasn't terrible. There were some solid songs in that Police dive, but we have done The Police. American Liberty says the E Street Band.
That's going to be a lot of albums.
Yeah, I think so too. Bruce Springsteen discography. I've heard enough Springsteen to kind of know that I don't think I love it. And I think it would be tough. 20 albums, that'd be tough. I can't do that. Not yet.
Yeah.
Keep the suggestions coming. Somebody's going to come up with one and we're going to do that virtual high five again like we were last week about Queen. Corey Hall says the Eagles. Didn't we kind of mutually agreed that you're an Eagles hater or something, right?
Man, what is it?
What?
What'd you discover?
Do you hear my gasp?
Yes.
Okay. Dire Straits discography.
I just saw Dire Straits.
Did? 6 studio albums. That's a fucking winner. Yeah. It's not set in stone, but that is an upcoming winner for sure. I can do 6.
We'll have to. What year was their first album?
Computing. Dire Straits. It looks. What the hell? Okay. Looks like 1978.
Okay.
So that is technically, that's almost an 80s band.
Yeah.
That's real close. Dire Straits, 1978, 79, 80, 82, 85, and 90. 6 albums. That's at the top of the list for me currently.
Sure, I agree.
Dire Straits and their 6 studio albums means I'll get to listen to more Beastie Boys this coming week. I know I love Dire Straits, the hits. I don't know if there's anything else in there. So far Dire Straits is at the pinnacle. We'll go about 10 more minutes at the max, trying to get some suggestions to figure out what else we could listen to. But currently Dire Straits and American Liberty says Guns N' Roses. I know I don't love them.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses discography. But I kind of want to get a feel for where these bands might line up in the long run. Like, is Guns N' Roses a band that gets done sometime this summer? They have 6 studio albums.
I think that I need to give them an opportunity.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Slash's guitar playing.
As am I.
But I know the initial album, was it Appetite for Destruction?
I believe so.
Yeah, I was kind of familiar with that album, but I didn't go really beyond that. So I would be willing to give them a chance.
I would be too.
Yeah, I don't want to be a hater.
Yeah, I know my buddy Ben, who's got really good taste in music, is a pretty big Guns N' Roses fan. Motley Crue was suggested. They have 9 albums. I'm willing to put that in there for a fun episode eventually.
Yeah.
Because out of all the 80s hair metal bands, I would probably say Motley Crue was the most relevant. So they might deserve an inkling of my time. So, I mean, that's definitely something for consideration later. American Liberty says Journey.
I just saw Journey, yeah.
I'm not sure how much Journey I could handle. That's kind of that... I feel like Journey is that 70s sound that wants to be 80s.
The Cars.
That's not a terrible suggestion.
I'm going down a list.
Journey's got 14 albums. The Cars discography has 7.
Okay.
What are the Cars? What's some of the Cars songs? I'm drawing a blank on them.
Yeah, what was the lead singer's name? Rick Ozaic or something. I don't feel like I'm pronouncing that correctly. Yeah, I can't think of anything right now.
Cars songs, Drive, you might think, Moving in Stereo.
Yeah, I don't know if that'd be a good one or not.
I don't know. I honestly don't recognize any of those titles. Shake It Up, I do. Did they do that song? Shake It Up.
Yeah, that's it. That's the Cars.
Boom, 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 boom. What years were the Who? Says Corey Hall. It doesn't matter what years the Who were. We tried that. Just do some Bone Thugs, he says. They annoy the piss out of me. I can't do that.
Bum, 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 bum,
Misfits, bum. I know every song, every word. I love them.
And I do too. I don't think that's going to be a big surprise for me.
Yeah, I can't do the Misfits. I already know that they're like my top 20 or 30 bands ever. I love the Misfits.
Love them.
I even love the new shit without Danzig. It doesn't bother me at all. I like it all.
It doesn't bother me either.
No. Dig Up Her Bones is one of the best fucking songs.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's a damn good song. Can't do the Misfits. We already like them. That's part of our generation. That's part of what we're stuck in that we're trying to get unstuck from. So keep those suggestions going. We'll give you about 3 minutes while we're looking at other discographies. But currently, Dire Straits. Good. Let's throw some other genres in there. If it's rock, it's going to be Dire Straits.
Yeah.
What if it's hip hop? What if we're in a hip hop mood? What could it be if we're in a hip hop mood? I'm drawing a big blank there. I tend to want to go Kendrick Lamar because he's supposedly one of the best rappers of all time, but he's fairly recent. He's 2000s. But everyone I've ever talked to through our reaction channel that we do on YouTube has pretty much hammered us with Kendrick Lamar as one of the greats, even though he's newer. So that's somebody I would be considering if we wanted to dive hip hop. Okay. Kendrick Lamar is highly regarded.
Okay.
And not just in a new way. Everyone that loves hip hop, Kendrick Lamar is highly regarded.
Okay.
So, and that's 4 studio albums. Oh, fuck yeah. So if we do hip hop, Run DMC, American Liberty said Run DMC, that's somewhat tempting.
Sure.
But I'm still so stuck on the Beastie Boys that I don't know if it's fair to do Run DMC yet.
Might not give them the chance that they deserve.
Yeah. And Corey Hall says, I recommend J. Cole. J. Cole's regarded as one of the best of all time. And I'd be willing to do that eventually.
Okay.
Is his name Jake? It's not J. Cole, is it? It's I think he abbreviated it. Or maybe it is J. Cole. No, it is J. Cole. But yeah, he's regarded as one of the best. And I have heard a few songs and they were pretty damn good. So that's something I'd be willing to consider. Public Enemy. At a certain time, I'd be okay with Public Enemy.
Sure.
Once I get a little more sick of the Beastie Boys, Public Enemy might be a good one to go into.
Sure, yeah.
Run DMC. We definitely will hit all those early hip hop bands. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Just like we've hit all the big rock bands, we will hit we'll hit the hip hop bands too. I think that's enough. I think we've got some things to think about.
Yeah.
I'll go back through this chat list and write some of these down in my book of magic. And speaking of which, I'll spend the last few seconds. If you got any final words, spit them out. I'm going to look at our list real quick.
No, that's okay. I just I appreciate everybody providing input.
Yeah, a lot of input tonight, which is very helpful.
Very happy. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I'll just run through real quick on the list before now, which I'll add all of these that are applicable to the list. Dire Straits is on the list. Queen, Bowie, Steve Miller Band, Deep Purple, Fleetwood Mac, Alice Cooper, Frank Zappa, Van Morrison, Neil Young, Velvet Underground. Let me write that shit off real quick.
Scratch Zappa and his 79 albums.
Oh yeah, scratching that. The Kinks, Peter Gabriel, the Stooges. Let me scratch that out. We did it. Genesis, Huey Lewis and the News, Hanson.
Yeah.
Some dude, a buddy of mine said that Hanson was worth listening to, and they get a bad name because of Bop, but the rest of the discography is surprisingly good. I'm willing to try it, if nothing else, for fun and possibly an eye-opening experience with Hanson.
Sure, and I'd like to throw in one request. I would like to plug the Clash into that list, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Because I don't know enough about the Clash. I'd like to give them an opportunity.
I was always really confused on why they were considered punk.
Me too.
I didn't hear a lot of punk. I heard more Billy Idol.
Yeah.
With them, more, Rock the Casbah to me.
Sure.
Maybe they have a punk attitude with their music. Maybe they live punk, but the music doesn't really scream punk to me. So that's a good addition. The Clash. He doesn't cuss. Corey Hall said he doesn't cuss. J. Cole doesn't cuss. Is he like Will Smith on steroids?
Will Smith doesn't cuss.
I don't know. Another up and coming guy is NF. He doesn't cuss. Who is NF? Who the heck just goes by 2 initials? NF. Even Jay-Z has Jayz. I don't know. We got the suggestions. We'll write them down.
Sure.
We'll announce what we're going to listen to next on Sunday night or Monday morning. That way you can follow along if you want to. Just know it's going to be a short discography. Let me go ahead and write a star beside Dire Straits. And then once I add these other guys, we'll add a star. Is there anyone you want to add a star to before we go, Hicks? That we've talked about?
No, not really. I don't, I agree. I'm not ready for the hip hop just because I too share the enthusiasm toward the Beastie Boys. I'm not going to give anybody else a fair chance, a fair shot.
I think that's the right call.
Yeah. It's just like doing the Beatles and doing the Stones back to back.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
Yeah, but it was a lesson learned. So I kind of need to get away from the Beastie Boys a little bit before we jump into another hip hop, because I I want to blast through it and get back onto something I really enjoy. So
Yeah. Because I mean, if we have a contrast of rock or pop and then Beastie, because we're not done listening to the Beastie Boys, we're just not done.
yeah.
They've grabbed us. So yeah. So Dire Straits is up there. I'll look through this list and me and Hicks will discuss it over the weekend.
Sure.
Until then, we're going to go watch some hardcore horror movies. What's I need to pull that list up you sent me. Watch some of that shit. Maybe it'll inspire me. You had a hardcore crazy.
I don't even want to name any of that shit because I don't want anybody to know that I know what that shit is. So.
Oh man, I've seen more since you enlightened me to some of the really hardcore horror stuff. I've seen. I don't know if the Googly was listening to me on my phone, but I've seen that shit pop up and be like, I think it was like a list of movies that were like so I found a list of disturbing movies. One of them was about a rubber tire that has the hots for someone and it follows her everywhere.
Oh, the killer rubber tire.
Yeah. And apparently that's actually disturbing. And I was like, how is that disturbing?
Yeah, I've seen that advertised before.
Yeah, I need to find that disturbing movies list and start adding that shit to our list. Who knows? Maybe the next Stuck in My Generation will be like, we don't want to watch Happy Gilmore anymore. We're going to go watch some shit we never thought to watch. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next time. We'll figure out what we're watching next. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for helping us make this episode an hour long when really the first 18 minutes were about Queen and the rest was just us gibbering and
that's
all
right.
that good stuff. We'll see you next time. We'll announce what we're listening to. You can follow along. We promise it won't be as bad as the second half of Queen's discography. Thank you for listening to Stuck in My Generation. Again, if you want to suggest bands for us to listen to, send it over to stuckinmygeneration@gmail.com.